This mixed TV interview is supplied by Wholesale Supply Group. Visit us online at wholesalesupply.us.
Memorial. Hello, human kindness. Tell you what, we're going to go right to our interview with, we'll just go live from New York. It's the voice of the Volunteers, Bob Kesling. Did you make it to New York?
Steve, we're here. We're prepared. We're ready to go.
I just got back from there, and how's the city? How's it going?
You left it in pretty good shape when you left here, Steve, so that's good. Yeah, everything's fine. Being in New York, it's all the hustle and bustle, you know about that, and there's just this excitement, especially when basketball's involved up here, because it's, as Coach Barnes calls it, it's the mecca of basketball, really, when you look back at. And going to Madison Square Garden is also, always fun. So Bert and I were riding the subway up and down and having a big time yesterday. So we got to all the press conferences and got to watch the team work out in the Garden. Tennessee played in the Garden last year against Texas Tech, and it was one of those rock fight type games. Neither team shot very well. And Coach Barnes blames it on the basketball. They were using some kind of new NBA Spalding type ball, and neither team shot well. So they'll have Wilson basketballs tonight, and both teams should shoot well. It should be a heck of a game.
So you obviously have a deal with Wilson, is what I'm taking from this. You're putting Spalding down.
No, the NCAA has a deal with Wilson.
Okay.
So I have nothing to do with that.
Fine.
I have nothing to do with that. So.
All right, so it's the number 4 Tennessee Volunteers. They'll meet the number 9 seeded Florida Atlantic Owls, and just tell us in all of the press conferences and the research you've done about Florida Atlantic, what have you learned about them?
Well, they win a lot of games. They won 33 games this year. That's hard to do, and they won 20 straight at one time. It's a veteran team in this day of transfer portals and all that stuff. Their guys have stayed together. They've got, I think it's 9 guys that have played together for a couple of years. So it's a veteran team. They're not a very big team, but they're a fast team. They do have a 7-footer and another guy that's 6'8" that plays the post. And those guys man the post, and then they have the 4 guys on the outside. They have 6 guys that have shot over 100 three-pointers this year, and 1 that shot 93. So they are all apt to shoot the three-pointer, and that plays maybe into Tennessee's hands a little bit because Tennessee is the best team in the country defending the three-point shot. So if they can make life miserable for the Owls getting shots off, then that should be a big bonus for Tennessee. And, Tennessee played really well against Duke, and you want to continue that momentum into this game. And I think it's a very confident Tennessee team. It's a veteran team as well, and they have guys that have played in a lot of NCAA tournaments and got lots of experience. And so that helps this time of the year. And I think the fact that most of the veterans have played at Madison Square Garden, that kind of takes that aura away from the whole bit. They won't be in awe of, going in there and just the surroundings because they played in there last year. So I think it sets up well for Tennessee. Every time you play these NCAA tournament games, though, it's a matchup type game, and how these guys play and how you defend the other team is important, and the officiating is also different in these games. You have to adjust how the officials play. Most of the officials, though, they're some of the best officials in the country, but they're from different conferences, and so they kind of mix and match a little bit. And so, and each conference is a little bit different in how they call the games. So that you have to. I think when Tennessee played Duke, they figured it out real quick that they're going to let you play and they're going to let you be physical, and that played into Tennessee's advantage. Now tonight, this game they might call it tighter, and that might be the Florida Atlantic's advantage. So you just see how it plays out in these matchups, and that's what makes this tournament so special.
We're joined by Bob Kesling, voice of the Vols. How important is it for the Vols to slow down John L. Davis with Florida Atlantic, and who do you believe Coach Barnes will turn to do so?
Well, they've got a lot of options. They really defend the 3-point line. So from that aspect, it could be anybody. It could be all. Josiah Jordan-James can guard any position on the floor, basically. Jemai Mashak can guard any position on the floor, and they switch so much at the top of the key and around the perimeter. So Davis might face 3 or 4 different guys. So their guards do pass the ball. They've got 2 guards that have a lot of assists as well. So but Davis had a tremendous game against Fairleigh Dickinson. I mean, he 29 points and 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals. I mean, that's the first time anybody's ever done that in the NCAA tournament with his numbers. So he's a good player. He's another veteran player. But Tennessee's such a solid defensive team that they switch, and so it probably everybody on that perimeter is going to have a chance at one point or another to guard Davis and these other guys. So I think defense travels in this tournament, and Tennessee's defense has been outstanding all season long. So I would expect another good defensive performance tonight.
Bob Kesling, voice of the Vols, live from New York. Final question here. With Florida Atlantic ranking the top 15 in offensive efficiency, what impact do you think the Vols' physical size of play, physical style of play, along with their size, will have on FAU's offensive gameplay?
Oh, I think that's the biggest key in the game. I think Tennessee has such an outstanding advantage height-wise. I mean, you can throw those 4, big guys Tennessee has, and Olivier Comwa, if he plays the way he did against Duke, I don't think that there are many teams in this tournament that can beat Tennessee if he plays like that. They can get 20 points out of Olivier Comwa, and Vescovy has his normal game. I think that Tennessee's going to be a tough matchup for any team in this tournament. So, that's been the one thing about that Coach Barnes had talked about in the second half of the SEC season, just the inconsistency of guys like Olivier and Urosh and some of these other guys. You weren't sure exactly what you're going to get. If you can get Olivier Comwa to give you 15 to 20 points every single game, and you're going to get that, that's going to make Tennessee a tough out for any team in this tournament. So, I like where Tennessee is right now. I like the confidence they're playing with. I like the way they can adjust to different styles, and it's a team that has been built for March, and now they got to go out and perform, and I think they will. I think they'll play well tonight.
Our broadcast partner Stephen Shelton has sent a question and asked Bob, since the Vols do not tip until 9 o'clock tonight, what time and how long will your nap be today?
It'll start about 3:30 and go to about 5. So hey, I know you're running out of time. Can I tell you? Michigan State's up here.
Oh, yeah.
And so anyway, I'm a big brother, and I've got my little brother, who we've been with for 10 years or so, is now in the Navy.
Wow.
William Large. He's in the Navy. He's out in San Diego, and he was on the ship where they had the basketball game, the Michigan State Gonzaga game. And so when they were putting all the courts and stuff up there and the scoreboards and everything, they've got 5,000 sailors on the USS Abraham Lincoln, the aircraft carrier. And so it made it too crowded for all the soldiers, so they just had essential personnel there for a couple of days while the basketball tournament's going on. Well, Will is a master mechanic, and so he was deemed essential in case something broke on the ship. He'd have to fix it. And but since everything was running smoothly, they put him in charge of security. And his job was to check the players in when they came in for practice and everything. And so he did get him a selfie with Drew Timme of Gonzaga, so he thought that was big. But so he gets Gonzaga on, and everything's fine. And now Michigan State's coming on. So he's got his list, and he's checking guys in. And Tom Izzo is the first guy to walk up. And he goes, what's your name? And he goes, Tom Izzo. And he checks the list, and he said, okay, I need to see your ID. And Coach Izzo pats his, pocket. Well, I don't have it. I left it at the hotel. He says, well, I can't let you on the ship without your ID. He said, but I'm the head coach at Michigan State. He said, well, I don't really care who you are, but you're not getting on my ship without your ID. And so his assistant goes, well, this is Tom Izzo. He said, I understand that, but he doesn't have his ID and he's not getting on the ship. He said, we have media responsibilities and we got practice. Well, you know, the rules are the rules, and you can't get on the ship without your ID. And so they start talking, and all of a sudden Will goes, all right, what's your name again? And he goes, Tom Izzo. He said, spell that. And he goes, I-Z-Z-O. And he looks down the list, and he says, okay, I see your name here. If he vouches for you, I'll let you on the ship today. But you better have your ID tomorrow night or you're not getting on the ship. Okay, we understand what you're saying. So they let them all on. And so when they left the Michigan State team, his Navy buddy sitting next to him said, didn't you know who that was? Didn't you know that was Tom Izzo? And Will goes, I knew exactly who that was. I was just screwing with him a little bit.
That's wonderful. Well,
isn't that great? How many times do you get to mess with Tom Izzo?
That's well, yeah, I guarantee you.
Isn't that a good one?
That's pretty good, Bob.
So, anyway,
well, buddy,
so he
we'll be listening to you and Bert tonight, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a lot of fun tonight. So it's I mean, this is really neat. Both the Lady Vols and the Vols are in the Sweet 16, and it's just a good time for Tennessee basketball. So anyway, hope a lot of folks listen. Just root on Tennessee, and I think it's going to be a good week here in New York.
Hey, Bob, just kind of, I hate to end Bridget on a down note, but Bob, I don't know if you know that they did close Studio 54. So you will not be able to celebrate their post game, you and Andy Warhol. It ain't happening.
I was hoping to see Joe Namath there tonight. But okay, we'll do something else.
Thank you, Bob. We'll be listening to you tonight, buddy.
All right, take care.
Appreciate it. Bob Kesling, the voice of the Vols. Well, that's a good story, though.
Yeah.
Bob is very, very active in the Big Brothers, Big Sisters campaign or organization nationally, and does a lot for them, and we give him a hard time. But Bob, there's nobody better. All right, it is.